It's a pleasure to be with you. Considering the number of cities and countries covered by today's audience around the world, there are in all likelihood many products and their components or services that you and your organizations produce or distribute, and that I bought over the last 2 or 3 weeks here in San Diego, California. From food products to communication devices such as cell phones, we are increasingly living the global village reality first proposed by Marshall McLuhan a number of years ago. This is a new world, and our global connections will continue to evolve with more suppliers, more products, more distribution systems, and ultimately more customers. It reminds me of the fact that a McDonald's Big Mac burger bought in Frankfurt, Germany is made up of food, meat, lettuce, tomato, sauce, roll, and pickle, and packaging supplies such as a wrapper and a box, all from 7 different countries. That's a tremendous miracle. Getting all those components to the store and in your hands at minimal cost, time, and waste or spoilage is truly amazing. This miracle and all others like it don't just happen. It's all about managing resources and risks creatively. The productivity strategy is not process-oriented anymore, but rather systemic and organizational-wide as manufacturing, IT, client service, finance, marketing, training, and other traditional functionalities are now intensely interconnected. What one does in one area affects the others immediately. A team approach is not enough anymore. A network of collaborating teams is more the reality of effective organizations today. The focus is now on organizational synchronization, or OS, a concept first proposed by Miguel A. Cardenas, where harmonizing the management of internal and external resources and environments allow the value chain to maximize its potential and operations to flow with a minimum of effort and cost, resulting in profits and customer recognition. In order to implement OS, Cardenas proposed a systemic organizational performance model known as ETK, where E refers to the emotional or human, T to the technology, and K to the knowledge dimensions in an organization. There are many managerial and performance models in the literature, but very few have been validated with scientific research and practice. ETK has been studied and its correlation to performance confirmed by various doctoral research studies covering the fields of higher education, global sports, and electrical power. As I speak, multiple applications are being implemented and evaluated by organizations in the United States, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Turkey, and China. This, ETK, is a framework for success and global competitiveness as an organization in business, education, government, or civil society puts together its short, medium, and long-range operations plan along with its vision and mission, complemented by its core values and competencies. It must combine the right amount with the end results in mind. Based on their availability, marketing efforts are more likely to be successful if they are based on a strong systemic framework that makes it clear to everyone involved what the organization wants to become, why, and how. Companies need emotion, which I see as commitment, compassion, feelings, and urgency. And it has to be compatible with what the customers value and will buy. The same goes for technology and knowledge. Technology includes both the tools we use to carry out company processes, but also tools, products, and services that companies sell and deliver to others. Finally, organizations have to acquire, hold, and use knowledge that continues to grow in amount and value, with knowledge and skills that are included in it. Managers can then make the correct decisions, which is critical management skill. Further, knowledge is highly dynamic, constantly growing and being updated, all to facilitate management in seeking its goals. In summary, energized through knowledge. The ETK model proposes that there is a significant link between performance, organizational synchronization, and global competitiveness. A decision maker can use the ETK model to understand and measure OS, which conceptually is the harmonization or alignment of all the internal strategies, tactics, and plans with its external counterparts. OS measures the degree to which an organization is aligned to its operations, programs, and internal processes with respect to the needs and expectation of its customers and followers. Of course, a key element in the implementation of the structural changes needed for OS is workforce attitudes, skills, and knowledge. For example, competencies. In recent years, traditional labor competencies and skills have run into a sea of change and adaptation given the explosion of knowledge and the reinvention of entire industries and sectors around the world in recent years. According to workplace consultant Edward E. Gordon, by the year 2020, about 122 million workers will be needed in the United States, but only 55 million will be qualified for these jobs. He warns that at least 3/4 of all U.S. jobs will require higher skills, and they will offer higher pay. Higher order competencies are becoming the basic minimum requirement for essentially all U.S. jobs, he asserts, but the absence of those skills among American workers leaves up to 5 million available jobs vacant. These higher order competencies are really global competencies, as coined by Miguel A. Cardenas. A global competency is a competency with global knowledge. Unlike traditional technical, managerial, or generic competencies, these global competencies do not have to be updated, revised, or discarded constantly with the intense dynamics of change and innovation we all face. Instead, they provide the skills and knowledge that allow us to adapt, transform, and reinvent ourselves when needed. They provide skills that allow our workforce to find its own solutions and to synchronize to its external dynamics and needs. The new idea here is to develop in our workforce the skills that will make them capable to fish for their path to success at all times, rather than giving them a specific set of skills for a specific fish or path for success today, which will most likely not be relevant or possible tomorrow. The explosion of knowledge globally makes many innovations and technologies today have a very short lifespan in terms of markets and client preferences. These profound considerations present a unique opportunity for decision makers when deciding on their strategies for human capital development, training, and knowledge management. Investing only on the development and certification of traditional skills and competencies for our workforce is no longer the optimal use of our resources given their short lifespan. Global competency development is clearly a mandate now in all organizations, private, public, and social organizations. Optimal performance with a global focus must be our new framework for decision-making at all levels. And our goals should be achieving optimal performance and global competitiveness. So how do we define global competitiveness? Peter Drucker, in his well-known publication entitled Management Challenges for the 21st Century, warns that no organization can hope to survive, let alone to succeed, unless it measures up to the standards set by the leaders in its field, any place in the world. Drucker adds that it is no longer possible to base a business or a country's economic development on cheap, low-cost labor. However low its wages, a business is unlikely to survive, let alone to prosper, unless its workforce rapidly attains the productivity of the leaders of the industry or sector any place in the world. To be able to identify and learn from the leaders in our respective fields, we must have the mastery of a global skill such as benchmarking. And to be able to implement it globally, one needs other global skills such as the mastery of English, not as a second language, but as a work skill. These new realities must be the basis for new workforce development strategies oriented toward global competencies. The need is so vast and urgent, particularly in large organizations around the world, that certification entities such as San Diego Global Knowledge University, www.sdgku.com, are now growing exponentially in its global competencies certification services and its dual academic and competency graduate level curricula, which are offered in various languages online. One of its major users, Comisión Federal de Electricidad in Mexico, has taken the lead in a pioneering human capital development program with SDGKU, given the mandate of the energy reform regulations in Mexico for CFE to become a sustainable, synchronized, and socially responsible productive enterprise of the state. This program involves the development and certification of global competencies by SDGKU of 15% of the workforce under all the units of CFE's operations division in the 3-year period from 2013 to 2015 and 5% thereafter. This, based on the widely accepted and proven phenomenon known as critical mass that is required for new ideas and practices to propagate within an organization or community of interest. This important topic has been presented and discussed in other ITC programs. A unique characteristic of SDGKU's global competency certification courses is that participants need to implement a practical project for their organization with evidence of how they applied the essential skills of the competency they acquired as defined by the international certifier SDGKU. In a recent diploma award ceremony, 136 decision makers from a specific division of CFE in Mexico City not only received their certificates of global competency from SDGKU, but also were recognized for having implemented 103 innovation projects for their company, which involved teams of 4 to 5 colleagues in each case, not all necessarily participants in the courses. This wave of innovation projects will now be eligible for financial support from a new special fund for promoting innovation in the energy sector, created by the Ministry of Energy in partnership with the Ministry of Education and CONACTL, the National Council for Science and Technology. The importance of these pioneering investments in global competency development in our workforce is that they represent benchmarks of success and achievement for others to follow. But beware, global skills and competencies cannot be invented from the air or by experts in academia. They must be extracted from an international and global community of practice published in recognized journals or media and accepted by society. Remember, we are not talking here about knowledge or academic competencies, but rather skill competencies that must come from known practicing and recognized leaders. I am proud to mention that the battery of global competencies that are certified by SDGKU, starting with distance activity, were extracted from our own ITC Global Knowledge Network that, as many of you know, in 2014 is celebrating 30 years of uninterrupted service to the international community. Congratulations to all of you. Assuming goals have been decided and quality is tops, it's time to get back on the company's OS. Everything that you do in organization synchronization, you have to look for any opportunities throughout the existing and responsive purchase links. That is, all steps and processes should be combined. To get everybody on board, it is critical to train and educate employees or prospective customers about working to learn, know, and do, and transform. An issue of increasing complexity today is the availability and access to strategic resources. That is, resources that significantly differentiate the value of an organization and its capacity to operate effectively and achieve its goals. Here we include energy, water, technology, intellectual property, financial, and market niches. Many would say there's never enough to get everything done. They are partially right. Individuals, companies, and countries, for that matter, always operate with limited resources: time, money, equipment, supplies, people, facilities, water, energy, and technology. At the same time, there are unlimited ways that management can spend or use each of those resources. The key is to have your resources available, although there are costs in time, shipping, distribution, and processing fees. Let me stop here and just say that creativity and intuition play a major role in the effective management of these strategic resources in all organizations with aspirations to become globally competitive in their regional, national, international markets. The role of women here is increasingly a key element given their proven advantages of intuition and people skills. In another module, I will address the topics of increasing our limited resources, resources to save and protect, strategic agility as an essential organizational characteristic for navigating change, discontinuity and reinvention, and sustainability as an unavoidable goal for all successful organizations. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, and now let's go to Module 2 of this program.